Nobody move.
Nobody gets hurt.
I'm Nick G.
I'm Mike D.
And this is Good Cop, Bad Cop. I'd like to thank our sponsors today, Pop McCann Whiskey, smoothest drink in the land. Grab your bottle today at popsmcannwhiskey.com. Also like to thank Friends of Martina White. Visit votemartina.com for more information about the work Martina has been doing as state representative of Pennsylvania. We would also like to thank our sponsor, Beyond Creative. If you're ready to take your online presence to the next level, visit beyondocreative.com or call 267-362-WEB1 to discuss your project. And our title sponsor, AR Law, arjusticenow.com. We fight so you don't have to. Adams Renzi Law. We would also like to thank our sponsor, Morrow Flooring, hardwood, laminate, vinyl, tile, and carpet. You get military and first responders discount. That is Morrow Flooring. You can go to goodcopbadcoppodcast.com. Click on his link for more details. Welcome back to Good Cop, Bad Cop. Today our guest is Ignacio Esteban, who is one of the most prolific writers I've ever met. He has almost over 80 titles to his name. But what makes him special is he is the real deal Donnie Brasco, ATF Undercover Agents. Today we get to hear some of his stories, read about his books, and have some interesting topics on current events.
ATF. All right, good. Well, welcome to our show. I'm really glad to have you. And I don't know if you're familiar with our backgrounds, but I was retired in New York City. Actually, was retired by the New York City Police Department. Yes. I didn't get a retirement. And Nick here.
Yeah, I'm a 12-year veteran of the Philadelphia Police Department. I retired with an on-duty injury. I've been in politics, started a political action committee, private security for the last 11 years. So I think we've all pretty much been on the same page. And we're here today to listen to some of your stories and get into your writings. How are you, Ignacio?
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. Mine is 26 years, federal law enforcement, retired recently, less than 3 years. 21 with ATF, which people say, what's ATF? It's all the fun. We get to have all the fun, right? Yeah. We get to shoot all different kinds of guns.
Except Ruby Ridge and a few other things.
Yeah, but that's...
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah, but remember, that was ATF war, but it was the marshal who were out there. They're the ones who got shot and had to deal with that. So
Waco.
Waco also, but that's another issue there. But remember, if they cooperate, right, you're not going to announce, you surrender, things don't happen. You open up on the police, bad things happen, right?
Well, that's correct.
We all would agree on that to begin with, right?
Yeah.
We might not agree. We might not agree on why they went there. We might not, right? But that being said, when you're there, cooperation is always.
You have to cooperate, especially the guy's a molester, the guy's abusing small children.
Well, that's yes. Right.
He that guy was a piece, and I wrote a book about that too, about McVeigh and all that. We could talk a little bit politics there and get to back a little bit there, but I'll give you a little bit of my background. But remember, at the end, 4 ATF agents were murdered.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, we cannot forget that. They're doing their job. They're the SWAT team, and they opened up on them knowing, and they knew they were coming. And they knew they were coming. Yeah, yes. I've been to a lot of ceremonies with ATF, and that's
there's no loss of life is never, it's nothing to be celebrated in any way, shape, or form.
It's awful, and unfortunately, we got a lot of monsters in there. So, 26 years. I became I started writing, we talked a little bit about self-publishing, how great that tool is on Amazon Kindle, where you don't need to go through a big publishing company and go through these gates and permission to get there. I could never have done this otherwise without Kindle Amazon and publishing all my books there. And
that's where all 80 of your books have come through is the Amazon self-publish?
Yeah, all my books are self-published. I write, edit, I do all the hats, just like I did when I was undercover, where I was at UC, because ATF's a lot smaller than the FBI. We have less than 3,000 agents, right? FBI is enormous. It's a bureaucracy. It's over at least 12,000. DEA is also big. So I had to do a lot of things. I was the case agent. I was the undercover. I did my own workups, intelligence, something to do your own surveillance. You just got to wear. You got to be good at multitasking.
So
I handle
you
a lot
always
of
get your start in the ATF, though, correct?
Where'd you start?
Okay, so my background is, before I started with ATF, I was with Customs, right? And I was with Customs for 5 years in Miami. And I almost didn't become. I don't know if you can see the poster behind me. I have this covered here. Yeah, you can. I almost called the book, instead of ATF Undercover, That's the cover of my book. There is the accidental agent, because my background was more. I had a bachelor's at political science and history. I was studying my master's at FIU International Relations, and I was going to go to law school up in Michigan. But Michigan's cold, and I didn't have a scholarship. I'm a Miami guy.
At this time?
I was born in LA, but raised South Florida. My parents and grandparents are Spanish Cuban. And because of Castro in the 60s, they came to the United States, escaping the communists. They lost everything. They were very successful people, had their own businesses, professionals, and everything else. And unfortunately, you're seeing a lot of it today in Venezuela.
Yeah.
What history repeats itself. Yeah. And we know a lot of people, I think the numbers are horrific, almost 8 million, because of Nicolas Maduro, who we'll talk about this, stole the election once again.
So what's the common denominator with Cuba, Venezuela? It's socialism, correct?
Communists. Even worse.
Yeah.
Communist
socialism.
They'll take your things, nationalize it, and the mafia wrote about this too. They lost everything because of Fidel Castro. Yeah. Once you see Meyer Lansky's, right? Yeah. He escaped with his life out there. South African Jr. was incarcerated because of Castro, and he sat there. The only place he did any time was in a Cuban prison. Never one day in a United States prison, which is something to think about there.
So my family, I have families I have a Cuban part of my family as well. I'm not Cuban, but my family have Cuban people in it. And they tell a story that I think Castro took their farm. What happens under communism? So I'm trying to explain to somebody that they come in and they say that it's for the people. They're taking your land.
The greater good.
For the people. Everything is for somebody else. Thank you, but it's now ours. Not because wasn't yours, but because the people need it and you're part of the people. Is that sort of how they – do you know how that happened to your parents? I ask this because before we get into the stories about bang, bang, shoot, undercover stuff – it's a very political time, and so this is poignant right now to that. Does that make sense? Do you mind that if we go into that right now?
No, go ahead. Absolutely. We have 2 hours. We'll do whatever we want.
Okay.
Talk about whatever we want.
Go ahead.
No, absolutely. Especially these guys, which I don't know at the end. I mean, let's say talk about Fidel Castro, Castro, Che Guevara, and all these guys. And I've done my research out there, and I did a book about Castro and the mob. And of course, you have the family stories and everything, separation of families and everything else. Right. If you're against the revolution, it's going to be one of three options, right? It's either going to be execution, which if you were for Batista, the firing lines came in there, right? You were a problem. You went up against us, execution, incarceration, or you got to leave. Right. And a lot of things when you left, you have to sign up. They nationalized your bank accounts, right? You're leaving. My family's left with nothing. They had a lot. They're left with zero to start again here in a great country.
Your family got out before they closed down that, correct?
They got out. They got out in the early 60s when you could, and you left. And they flew in a plane. They had visas. They came over here with political asylum. In a great country, and of course, a lot of bad things happened. Castro, we're talking a little politics here with the Bay of Pigs. They tried with Kennedy, but Kennedy unfortunately did not give the air support needed with the Cuban exiles who were trying to invade. And then all of a sudden he got tight and with the Soviets, right? And they had the Cuban Missile Crisis, and we almost had World War III and nuclear crisis, right?
Right.
Unbelievable. Castro said pretty much, use Cuba as you want. I don't care. They annihilate us. Take out the Americans.
Yep. And you said something, history repeats itself, and we're almost repeating these same things today with we have Russian warships docked in Cuba right now. Yeah. We've never been closer to World War III than we are today, especially nuclear war. And, history does repeat itself.
It's a sobering time right now for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's a little unnerving, to say the least.
And unnecessary. It just goes to show you when the Western powers are weak, which would be us, right. The bad actors will run amok. And
and we got Biden, probably the weakest of them all. And I wrote a book about this 2 years ago. I write a lot.
I'm shocked you wrote another book.
Joe, these are short books, folks. Good, short books. I got medium, I got long books. But I've been writing a lot, and I'll mention it on Medium, and a lot of articles. And that's a great platform. If you like to express yourself and write articles, it has over 100 million users and over 1 million subscribers. And I've written so many different topics. I have got more reads, and I started this about 2 weeks ago, than I have publishing my books. And I'm self-published. I get maybe
what platform is this?
Medium.
Okay, great. Well, we're not going to promote them too much unless they want to pay us.
Yeah. So at least you know who they are.
Medium. I'm not getting paid anything by them either. But if you're a writer, I'm just saying out there, people who love to write,
Right.
doesn't cost you anything. You put it out there, you can develop a lot of following, and people can really start. You can be a good influencer and mix it up with the shows and everything else. I've written from A to Z, a millimeter,
I
right?
want you to tell us about your 2 favorite cases so we can get a little taste for your
Oh yeah,
experience.
for sure. So I mean, with customs, I mean
Right.
it's a whole different breed than ATF, and
Right.
I'll tell about a little bit with customs. And I was part of the set team. Like I said, I spoke Spanish, and I'll give a little back on myself because I grew up in Miami,
Right.
and they were looking for Spanish speakers who understood Latin American culture, right? So I ended up putting for ATF. I was going to go to law school, but like I said, I didn't have a scholarship or anything like that. So I start making money, and customs pays well. You make a lot in overtime, right? So I said that's not bad. I'm in my early 20s, not a bad. I'm very fit. My dad was a gun enthusiast. I've been shooting. I work out. I was an athlete in college. I had a scholarship there. I was a tennis player and a runner. So I was a very fit guy. I worked out. I said, man, this could work.
By the way,
I
stop.
put in for it.
Stop 1 second. Tennis players are some of the most powerful, athletic people you'll ever meet. Go ahead.
Yeah, and tennis, if you haven't played it, you're in Florida. It is brutally hot, right? Hot.
Yep.
And to run around for 3 hours,
Go ahead.
right?
Good luck.
Run around for 3 hours in brutal conditions. And you're thinking you don't get subs, right?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one gets a sub. You got to figure it out yourself. That's what I did in college. And that's why I had it was a Division II school at St. Leo, but we played Division I schools. And all the guys that came up north, well, I would wear them out by the third set because the heat was so tough.
And
I
you're
would
track and
wear
field
them
too?
out.
Track and field also.
I did cross country too.
Also, yeah. See, anything I ever did in life, running was a punishment.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm in.
I did that in the police academy with a bad ankle.
Yeah.
From the day one. I ran every lap with a bad ankle. I sprained my ankle 3 days before the police academy. I wasn't going to tell them because I wanted to get in. I didn't want to lose my spot.
I can tell some stories from the academy also of running because we're in Glencoe, Georgia, southeast Georgia, summertime. That's another hot place.
Mud.
That's another hot place. A lot of bugs, a lot of running. And I remember doing the Indian run. Remember the Indian runs? You got to go from the back and catch the guy all the way in the front.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
keep on doing that for miles and miles and
I don't
miles.
think that's politically correct anymore.
Yeah, they don't call them Indians anymore.
Oh, okay.
Native American
What do they call Native American
Native
runs?
They're
American
indigenous run. It's the indigenous run.
The indigenous run. So we're gonna do the indigenous run. Man, that's some. I'm glad I was fit. There are people, man, that would just tap out. Done.
Tell me the best case at the airport. Come on,
Okay.
I want to hear. Well,
Oh, at the airport too. Okay, we'll do that one too. I guess the one that I felt the worst
The
about.
biggest load. Come on. Yeah, I'm salivating. I want
That's
to.
what she said.
Salivating. I would say about almost 800 pounds cocaine
Nice. Yeah.
from Guayaquil, Ecuador, right? Because at the time, let me set up the scenario. We're talking about Miami in the 90s, right?
Right.
It's not before the Mexicans have not come up. It's still the Medellin.
Falcone
and
is
Cali
not
cartels.
moneyed anymore, though. It's not Falcone and Mickey. Falcone and Magluta.
Yeah, it shows about how corrupt it is at the airport, which opened my eyes because you had the dirty longshoremen, you had the ramp workers. I expected that.
Yeah.
Employees are corrupt, but not within the ranks.
Right.
Not within the ranks.
Oh, yeah.
And,
So you're seeing this within the customs
and
agency.
that really kind of woke me up and bothered you. When you have your supervisor who you kind of know pretty good, they're tight with you, right? And then you see them arrested and they're being transported to internal affairs,
Right.
belly chained, handcuffed, and being escorted through the terminal, thinking, man, and these guys on the weekends, right, were clearing loads. There's Miami International.
Right.
There's a small airport called Tamiami. We have the
Yes.
small flights coming in, right? And they were bringing in 200 or 300 pounds of cocaine, clear it themselves with local police from the area, Hollandale and Hollywood Police Department, and then take it to a warehouse for distribution. And you're thinking, man, and they caught these guys. Unbeknownst to them, the little airport there was wired by internal affairs, and they got it all.
So you're seeing this as a young cop full of piss and vinegar, naive because we all were at one time.
Yep.
You're thinking we're all on the same team, we're fighting bad guys, and now you're seeing that your boss, your immediate supervisor, I take it, or
He's a supervisor.
yeah, getting locked up for corruptions. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that's not me, right? You guys say I don't want that to be me, and you have to have a good moral compass going that kind of work. Guys who, I mean, was it worth it? I think he made 300,000, right? Because they were doing it for a while. Is it worth your freedom Is it worth tarnishing your family's
I'll
name?
tell you the answer.
Yeah, my co-host moral compass.
I'll tell you the answer. There's
Moral
no,
compass,
wasn't working.
no, but it was very tempting at the time. Let's just be honest with each other. You know, it's very tempting because many of your good friends that you thought, you know, were coworkers that you would have had their back in a hail of gunfire, they ended up losing their moral compass, right?
Yeah, it's awful. It's not worth losing your freedom, right? To me, the freedom is everything for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine not having. I know you can tell. How many years did you do? 14 years.
I did a 14-year sentence. Yeah,
14 years. That's rough.
yeah.
That's
From the time I
that's
was
a long
30. I was 31, I think, and I came out at 44.
44. The 30s are some good years you left out there in.
Yeah. I lost the chance to raise my kids.
Yeah.
You know, and thankfully, because now they're really good kids. So
You didn't
someone
take
did a
that.
good job.
Right.
They love me.
So that caught my attention a lot. I realized that's not the path I'm going, obviously, and you because in customs there you seize a lot. I mean, it's a border authority. We don't have to develop probable cause, right? You coming international, you're subject to search the cargo, you're the person, what have you. We get you. It's not like it is when I go to ATF. That's a different game. And one thing with customs, we networked a lot. And I met guys from DEA, FBI, Secret Service. We seized everything from counterfeit currency, cards, firearms going outbound, money going outbound, drugs. Miami was a good learning for 5 years. And I was part of the SET team, the contraband enforcement team that was making some of the biggest seizures in the country at the time.
That's great. So you did 5 years in customs.
Yeah.
What
then
was
ATF.
the most bizarre or nastiest, however you want to put it, seizure you've done?
You know, I feel really bad is when you see these mules who come from Colombia, the swallowers, right?
All right, yeah. So for our listeners who aren't law enforcement savvy, mule is someone who transports narcotics.
Yeah,
The
these are
swallower is not your favorite. It's not your favorite
Actress?
Pornhub.
No.
That's someone who swallows usually condoms, right? Or
Condom full of cocaine, and they can fill it up with about 3 or 4 pounds of coke and heroin in your gut, in your belly, right?
3 or 4 pounds.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And the whole process is doing it. It's horrific. A lot of these people are from peasants, right? They're being used. If they don't do it, they get paid minimum. They don't have their families because these cartels don't care about these people. They use and abuse these people. They send them out there, pack them
It's
up.
not like the movies where you're getting $50,000-$80,000 to do this.
No,
They're being extorted.
The guys who do kind of, let's say, I've seen guys from U.S. I've seen a few Puerto Ricans who go to Colombia and they're there for a few days and they say, "Why the hell are you in Cali for 3-4 days? You don't know anybody there. They told me they wanted to sightsee.
Yeah.
You have no real employment. Ding, ding, ding. That's an easy one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
His gut's full of then off he goes, and that's a rough process.
Yeah.
We have to take him to Jackson Memorial Hospital, right? We got to stay.
Why
with
don't
these
you
people.
explain the process from the beginning? How did they get these condoms?
Oh
filled up
man,
and
it's
in them?
awful. The way they told me, because I've never really, that's something they say is that they're given a certain amount of time. They got to use. A lot of them like to use sports drinks to help them push it down because you have this lace condom. It is tough, so you can kind of smell it on their breath. That's something you'll learn. If you do enough of these cases, you can pick it up even on their breath where they come from. You're saying, "Oh, this guy has been," and the latex you can smell on their breath also.
Yeah,
So
that's what they say when a girl reaches in the car.
Yeah.
I smell a lot of latex here. No.
Yeah. So they get on the plane, and some of them don't make it. If the condoms start leaking, they're DOA.
So
right?
should we do a double bagging? If we're gonna, should we double bag it? They say
Yes.
you
They
should double bag it. Okay.
They should.
Okay, so we have one of these peasants. Unfortunately, their family could be held hostage.
Could
They're
be.
not getting paid, or they're getting paid very little money. What happens if they can't pass these bags?
Oh, if they don't pass it, let's say they get by. Let's be honest, we don't get all these guys, right?
Right.
We'll be lucky if we get 10%.
Okay.
I have to say, some of these planes, let's say from Colombia, they're loaded with these swallowers.
Right.
And we're lucky if we get 10%. Obviously, we don't have the manpower. There's a lot of these guys coming in, and they're pretty much lucky if we catch them because we'll take them through a process to the hospital, x-raying them. We'll give them the laxative to pass it. We'll take the time to do it right. These guys don't play around. When you go on these cheesy hotels, and they say if you can't pass it, it gets stuck, which happens a lot, they'll kill you, gut you, and take it.
Yeah, they're just going to cut you up,
That's
cut you
it.
up and take it out.
That's product, man. That's money.
Yeah.
You think they're going to waste your time 4 days, 5 days waiting for you? Oh, man, this guy can't pass it. No, it's bad news. So those were the ones which were you see a lot. I mean, it was just nonstop flow like that back in the 90s.
That's
And
sad.
then I get picked up. That's why I said we don't, and that's why we don't have an equal partner in the war on drugs at all. I mean, you look at the corruption now. Look at Mexico. And we'll talk a little politics here, and we'll go to ATF here. Claudia Scheinbaumer, right, the first woman Jewish president now of Mexico, a country is 95% Roman Catholic, right, and ultra socialist Lopez Obrador, her mentor, ultra socialist. Mexico's going in a bad place, and their policy is it's hugs for thugs. I don't want to get rough with the cartels because we don't want another battle that we've had here before with the cartels. They say that's the Americans' problems. Let them deal with it.
I think that last election cycle, there was 38 assassinations for people running for office.
It's
throughout
awful.
the entire. I mean, it's insane.
It's awful. It's either the carrot or the stick, right? And they have a lot of money, and they have a lot of gun control there. Does that work there? No. The cartels have everything they want, and the poor people can't have anything, and they take advantage of everything. That's why it fails in D.C., it fails in California, it fails in New York City, it fails in Chicago.
So here's an ATF agent, ladies and gentlemen out here. Here's an ATF agent who you would think is anti-civilians having possessions of guns, but that's not the case. Am I correct? You're not for that.
No, I would say 90% of the agents I work with are Republicans. 90% are pro-gun, are pro-Second Amendment, because it's about taking the guns, and that's my career. And I'll talk about this into it. Is the people I arrested, repeat violent offenders, right? Trigger pullers, gang members, hardened piece of shit gang members, armed drug dealers, deal with international firearms traffickers, armed home invaders, murder for hire cases. We're not like other agencies. We deal with the worst of the worst. And we're tied up with the locals, and we work hard with them, and we work cases, and we support each other, and we go to the door with these guys and take care of these kind of characters, because we want to give them, if you get a gun or ammo and you're a career criminal, federal, you're looking at a 15-year min-man.
Yeah. I'll give you a little side note. My relations with ATF. My brother was deputized ATF, New York City Housing Authority, and they deputized him to work with the ATF agents. So there was probably one, maybe two, 8 case agents, and there was probably about 6 or 8 city cops that were deputized to work the case. Okay. And they would connect. They were doing drugs and gun connection. Is that something you're familiar with?
Yeah.
They would see. So they would trace the guns with the ATF into the drug organizations, and this way they could take down. It was a reason to get the feds to be able to charge in the case, because cities can't. They don't have the charging parameters.
Federally, you get a lot more time than a lot of places.
You get a lot more time. People cooperate with the feds
a lot
better.
of radical DAs now. Canning jobs.
It's become, and I've been out 3 years, but I saw a lot of, you have a lot of judges like that, activist judges, right? Who just discard case law and just pretty much make it up as they go along to their own political agenda.
Didn't they arrest one in Massachusetts, a female judge, for letting a migrant leave the back? She knew that the immigration was out front to pick him up. ICE was there or something, and she asked him to leave out through the back door so he could escape. They arrested her, didn't they?
I believe so.
That's awful.
And she should have been arrested.
How about, since you're from New York, or you worked for NYPD? Right. The Venezuelans. The problem also is Maduro's also emptying, like Castro did, his prisons with garbage, and they're coming here also. So it's not people who are escaping oppression.
We're not getting the best.
I'm going to get rid of our gang. Venezuela has a lot of gangs too. Let's get rid of our crap and let it come to the United States. And not our problem. And of course, the Biden administration says, we'll take everybody in, but political asylum and all the crap. The border's not secure. He's the worst. This is the worst administration. That's why I call it the Biden-Harris administration, because she owns it just as much as he does.
Oh, absolutely.
And everything that happened there goes with her. And the Venezuelans that beat up that NYPD cop right out there. And the two guys, and they get out like that, and then they get all these debit cards, right? All the food, all money. And then the African American community is upset because they feel neglected. Someone comes off the boat, or someone comes off here legally, and boom, they're treated like royalty. And here you go, and we want you. We want your boat.
How does this? What is the program that? So they got a woman the other day had 14,000. You saw it, I'm sure. 14,000 on her
debit card.
Her debit card. 14,000 for food, and 4,900 and change for cash.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Unreal.
they're all getting.
She left her receipt because she paid for something, left the receipt there, and walked out with the product. And she had 20,000 on a card.
That's why that's in New
I
York,
don't have
right?
20,000 in savings.
Yeah, that's why Eric Adams. A lot of people are not very happy with him either, supporting a lot of these policy there. And as the mayor, very unpopular mayor, also. Also,
He
the one
fizzled
before
out
him.
pretty quick.
Huh?
He
Yeah,
fizzled out pretty quick.
yeah.
Well, he
yeah.
looks sharp. He looks sharp.
He looked sharp.
He looks
Talked a
sharp.
big game, and
looks
they're not
sharp.
happy with him.
Well,
Well,
listen,
he's
he
also
was
being
the divider
investigated,
in
too.
chief.
He's also being investigated now too by the FBI,
Yeah, well,
and we'll see how that.
he'd be
turns.
okay when Biden leaves, and they
Yeah.
when they get rid of Ray, then things will change. You understand that?
Were you happy with Giuliani?
So I'll give you a story of Giuliani. Giuliani and I never got along.
Oh.
I didn't know him personally, but when I was sentenced, he said I should have got life. Now, of course, I didn't want to hear that from anybody.
Yeah.
I'm being sentenced. However, he was probably right. If I went to trial, I would have probably got up to life. In fact, when I walked in the federal system, I was facing 10 to life. I walked out with a 14-year sentence. I was fortunate. Imagine that. I got 14 years. I was fortunate. But Giuliani was still a good mayor. I mean, you can't deny that. I don't like you, but you did a good job. I mean, you can say this. I mean, that's how you should approach politics. That's in my narrow view of the world. Because the reality is, listen, I'm a Medicare, right? Because I'm injured. All right, I'm on Social Security disability because I'm injured. I'm happy to have Biden's crew because he's just giving, right?
Sure.
But I'd rather have me go with less and have a better, well-run country where it's prosperous for everybody. So the opportunity for me to have less, I'm willing to sacrifice. Now, I don't want to, but I'm willing to. Does that make sense?
Of course.
So now you know where my views come from.
Yeah, and our taxes. To give more means higher taxes.
Of course it does.
Right?
Someone's paying it.
It's not everything for free. Right? Bernie Sanders, free education, free healthcare, free everything. Well, it comes at a cost, right? That's what they do in Venezuela. They gave everything away, and guess what? Now it's 96% poverty. You know what that means? Everybody's going to be poor. That's how they do it. Everybody's going to be poor.
It's coming here if this continues. There's no way you can continue on this trail. So give the Give Project. Give, go ahead, but give to us. Give to Americans that have been investing in the system.
Sure.
Don't open the door, let everybody come in, and then say give to everybody because you can't. But if you want to give veterans, give them a home. Go ahead. They sacrifice their bodies. You want to give first responders that get injured? Go ahead. But just give. I mean, where's the giving? Who's giving it? You and me and him, and then the
middle class.
We'll just keep handling and passing the money around. Is what's going on here. But the reality is, if you're not invested, so you can come from Venezuela right now at 62 years old and get Social Security here.
That's awful.
Do you know that?
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah.
Can I go to Venezuela and get Social Security? I just want to know. Maybe it's a better system.
You know what you're going to get? If you criticize them, you get in the can.
Get jail time.
You get jail time.
Well, maybe it's a good jail. Are they good jails? Are there good jails in Venezuela? I mean,
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, look at it. You commit a crime in New York, you're getting Mets tickets and a debit card for $1,000.
You get a slap on the wrist.
Here's your $1,000 debit card.
The Mets are doing good right now. I want to go to. They're playing the Phillies soon.
Yeah. Well, they're going to lose. I'd like to thank our sponsors today, Martina White. Friends of Martina White can visit votemartina.com for more information about the work Martina's been doing as a state representative in Pennsylvania. And let me tell you, Mike, she's a big supporter of police. She backs the blue. She's a proven fighter for families, women, everybody.
Is she a patriot? Is she America first?
Absolutely. She encompasses, the American spirit for sure. We have a big population of listeners in Northeast Philadelphia, Southeast Pennsylvania, which would be her area. So you can check her out.
Has she been in? I'm not familiar with the Philly district. Is she new to the scene, or is she looking for re-election?
She'll be up for re-election in a couple years, but she's been around for a while. She has a proven track record.
Okay.
You can check her out. her record really speaks for itself, especially when it comes to fighting for everyday citizens and backing the blue.
It's nice to have someone back in the blue. I mean, the officers are out there risking their lives every day, and with little pay and little appreciation in today's environment, it's been very difficult. And as you know, being a Philadelphia guy,
Unfortunately, that's something that's not common. Should be. It used to be a time where both sides of the aisle agreed on law enforcement, and that's something that's completely lacking. But with Martina White, she steps up to the plate, always has our backs, and does what's right.
great. Good luck with Martina.
Yeah, you can get more information at votemartina.com. I'd like to thank our title sponsor of the show, Adams Renzi Law, AR Law. They can be found at arjusticenow.com. And just to let you know, I know both of them personally. Christy, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, total sweetheart, absolute pit bull in the courtroom. And Nick Renzi, he's a South Philadelphia guy, true and true, neighborhood man. You know, he's for the people. He helps people out down in South Philly, all around Philadelphia.
Their office is in South Philly itself?
Yes, their office is in right around South Philly, Center City, right on the border.
Do they handle
there.
a lot of criminal cases?
They handle everything, absolutely.
Are they on call 24/7 for someone who might take a pinch somewhere?
Why, you might be taking a pinch
I mean,
that
you never know. I mean, wherever you show up, you got to be ready.
Well, you can keep their card on you.
Well,
Go to their
well,
website and
good.
call them up.
Will they give me a deal since they're sponsors of the show?
You might get a percentage off. I'll have to talk to her.
Okay. Yeah.
If you used them a few years ago, you might have not have gotten 14 years.
Well, that's another story.
Another story for another time.
That's right.
Again, AR Law, check them out. arjusticenow.com. We would also like to thank our sponsor, Beyond.0. In today's world, your business is practically invisible if you're not online. With so many options for marketing your business, it's easy to get confused. That's where Beyond.0 Creative steps in. They have the expertise to help you with all of your marketing needs. Need a website that wows visitors? They'll build it. Want to reach more customers with Google Ads? They'll make it happen. They'll even manage your social media so you can focus on what you do best. Beyond.0 Creative is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and Google Premier Partner. They're the real deal. If you're ready to take your online presence to the next level, visit beyondocreative.com. That's BIONDOCREATIVE.com or call 267-362-WEB1, Web 1 to discuss your project now. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Morrow Flooring, hardwood, laminate, vinyl, tile, and carpet, military first responder discount. You know, Tommy, we had him as a guest on a podcast. You can get your flooring done by a real American hero.
Yeah, and he's on time and on budget.
Yes, he is. He will beat any price. Bring a quote, an estimate, whatever you have. Tommy will beat it. 100% guaranteed. You have our backing on that one.
And he'll be there himself.
Absolutely. You can get a real American hero do your flooring for you. We leave customs, you go to the ATF, correct?
Yes.
This is what, 5 years into your law enforcement career?
Yeah, and it's just ATF. The B and the E is silent. It's just called ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms. We were in Treasury, and then now Customs was Treasury, and after 9/11, everything changed, and ATF went out to DOJ, Department of Justice, and we were there, and we always had a rivalry with FBI, and it just intensified. And a lot of things, because FBI wants to be the big brother.
Yeah.
We're the little brother, and we're going to show you why. But you know who sometimes really annoys the FBI?
Oh, cool.
Well, here we go. We have a picture of you in your ATF uniform
HSI.
here.
Nice. You look sharp.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Looking good. You got your outer vest carrier on with what weapon is that there? Is that an M4?
It's my personal weapon there. That's a AR-15 style rifle.
Gotcha.
There you go. With a bump stock. What a bump stock.
No bump stock. No
No bump stock. I'm kidding.
But now you can have bump stock. That's back again.
Yeah, I heard it's back on.
Yeah.
The pistol brace is back. That was Biden trying to weaponize ATF, and I was already gone by then. I had retired, and I thought it was ridiculous to try and do that.
It's
and,
a shame because
using the administration, things that were legal for years, to try and make them illegal for the bump stock because of Steve Paddock, the worst mass shooter, but unfortunately, that started in the Trump administration. That was his idea. That was his idea. And
it was Trump's idea to do the bump stock. He figured he had to do something, I guess, at that point.
Yes, he did. Yeah, but you know what it is? And this is something that's important, people are not. Don't demonize the object. Don't demonize the weapon. It's the person who pulls. Steve Paddock had mental health issues.
Yeah.
90% of these guys have mental health issues. They are a problem. we have a mental health crisis in this country.
They're on the
address it.
SSRIs, right? The
Yeah.
the psycho
one of the
medicine.
things that concerns me, and this is like a discussion, part of this debate, is parents of young kids that get these weapons. Excuse my language. How the fuck does that happen?
Yeah.
How?
Nicholas Cruz, right? Parkland.
Yeah.
He was really he was somebody that he had a broken home, right? He had issues there. People knew about it, and school security. But what upsets me about that one is that the local authorities there the resource officer stayed outside.
Is that
right?
Uvalde?
No,
Uvalde,
that's
right?
Uvalde, Texas. This is Florida and Parkland.
Yeah.
Oh, they did that in Parkland too?
Yeah.
They've done it. I hate to say it, countless times where they wanted to wait for the SWAT team. Where we
that's
take active shooter
disgraceful.
training,
Yeah.
you have to go in there. You
have
and
to
somebody
go
else
in.
go in there. These kids have nothing, right?
Nothing.
These
Yeah.
teachers have nothing, and they're sacrificing their lives to protect their students. And you're sitting outside, unacceptable.
Yeah, it's a stain
It's
on
not
law
acceptable.
enforcement.
Yeah, it's not acceptable.
You're a coward. When you raise that right hand and you swear in, you become a law enforcement officer. You are agreeing to put your life on the line, especially for helpless kids and teachers in schools. You shouldn't think twice. You need to run in there. Obviously,
go in there.
we've all been in these situations. It's not natural to run into a school where you're going to be facing someone, an armed adversary, but you overcome that fear and you do your job. You need to save people. And for these law enforcement officers that Uvalde and Parkland that hid outside, waited for SWAT to come, why kids are being murdered, it's disgraceful,
That's unacceptable.
unforgivable.
That's unacceptable.
They need to be charged.
77 minutes. You talk about Uvalde?
Yeah.
77 minutes.
Yeah, and who on a customs guy jumped in there? Who was
the BORTAC team, the Border Patrol team had to come miles away to come in and do it. Well, you know what? Look at the video. The parents are hearing the gunshots. They know the classroom. They came out with shotguns.
They're trying to
go in, and they're getting tased. They're getting arrested while their kids are being executed, and they're willing to go in to save their kids while they were not.
Yeah, disgraceful.
That's
disgraceful display. Of
that's yeah. There's no words for it. I'm sorry for everybody in law enforcement and outside of law enforcement. That's ridiculous. Never stop someone that's looking to save someone's life. I don't give a. How many times when I was a young cop? Excuse me, I jump in cars.
Yeah.
We used to commandeer cars, okay? Be honest. It was weird, but we did it. There's a emergency down the block. You're on a foot post. Cabbie or somebody pull over. You jump in. You take you 3 blocks down. Thank you. Got to go. I mean, this is what you do for other citizens. You do it. I mean, It might be stupid later on, but at the moment you're reacting as a saver.
You're community and a team
true.
at that point in an unusual situation. Sometimes you need to forget the book and you got to act.
Yeah,
you have to get in there and save those poor kids. Look at the interview with the teacher. The only teacher that survived there in Uvalde in that classroom there. Well, he couldn't move because he was shot on their desk and he was pretty much paralyzed there, watching his kids being executed there and hearing the officers outside the room doing nothing. And he said, they did nothing while my kids died in the classroom.
That's terrible.
That's awful. That's an unfortunate reality. So what's some solutions? I wrote books about this. What's some solutions we have to solve this? Well, how about some of the teachers who are trained to be armed, right? To protect themselves. People who are former law enforcement, military, gun enthusiasts, just like we did after 9/11, right, with the pilots. So that will never happen again. The pilots took the training, right? Because it was a force multiplier, because I used to be armed in the planes as an ATF agent, right? I would introduce myself to the pilot. He knew where I was, what was going on, because there wasn't enough agents out there, air marshals, to cover every flight. So you had a force multiplier. There's many things I think we can do. The teachers could be one also who can help out there. But you do also need more fortification at the schools. Too many entrances, people come in and out, better security. I mean, we fortify the airports. We deserve peace of mind when our kids go to school. They're not going to have some whack job go in there and light them up.
You need armed guards. I mean, these shooters, they look for soft targets. They look for schools that don't have security. They're not going in somewhere armed. We do need plenty of vets.
Put a double fence up on the way in. That really would stop half, if not 90%. Go through the first gate, put a security check, go through the second gate.
And look
it's
how
over. After that, if you get in there, you're really
look how the shooter entered Uvalde is through an open door because the teacher was smoking. Yeah. And I believe the teacher even seen him coming and didn't secure the
Probably
door.
said, "Come on in."
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's education, like you said, armed guards.
But you know what? They still have police there and did nothing.
Yeah. So, well, that's it. You can't have cowards.
Like I said, if you double fence that, you watch how how it doesn't happen. Doesn't happen because you can't. Someone coming in wants to get out. They're not suicidal normally on the way in. Like, oh, this is going to be fun. You got to get through one gate with security, another gate with security. Yeah. It wouldn't add maybe 2 minutes to you get into your classroom, tops, maybe less.
Yeah. But and touching on it is mental health, as you said.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We need to have a serious conversation. They're on these SSRIs, I believe they're called. These medicines that, if you're already depressed and suicidal, they can double that. I believe they make you more suicidal. They give you violent tendencies. And all these shooters have been shown to be on these medicines. Yeah, and without this definitely conversation, it's going to keep happening.
I think we'll see with Thomas Crooks. The would-be assassin. They almost killed the former President Trump.
Guarantee
there's going to be some issues with him also because that's not normal behavior. And we'll touch base since we're talking about this now. What a mess! How did Secret Service let that guy get up on the roof there with a rifle, 120 yards away from the president with a rifle? It's unbelievable. That's probably the biggest failure in Secret Service history, other than what happened with JFK.
Yeah. Well, that was a setup. That was an actual setup. That was an actual government job.
JFK?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Well, you heard what Trump said. If I release these, it would
destroy a lot of people or something.
Yeah, it would destroy our faith in our government.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't take a rocket science.
And he said the first thing he's going to do is release it when he gets in this time.
Yeah. Did he say that?
Yes, he did.
I love, you see a lot of people are like, oh, now you're an expert on assassinations and dignitary protection. No, I'm an expert in common sense.
Common sense approach.
Right. You don't need to be a law enforcement officer or an expert in dignitary protection to understand the colossal failures that happened on that day.
I was at a Trump rally in the Bronx. Okay, I went to a Trump rally in the Bronx. Okay. My first Trump rally, and my only Trump rally since. I couldn't get near that stage.
Well, they knew who you were.
Besides,
I'm surprised they let you in.
They actually didn't know who I was. You're not going to forget. You actually didn't know who I was. But there was a Secret Service agent and a cop together.
Right.
The Secret Service agent went over to the cop who was in plain clothes. She was a female officer, Hispanic girl. She said she was taking it with me. Oh, yeah, talking about the job and all that nonsense, I remember you. They taught me about you in the academy, all that shit,
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's all good. At my age, I don't care. So over comes a Secret Service agent, and he says something to her, and then we're talking, and she goes, you guys got a pass to get in? And I'd be going, no, we don't, because I didn't know how to do it. You could go on your phone and get a pass.
On your phone.
I didn't know that. So I'm just standing around like a jerk from 4,000 feet away.
Boomers.
Anyway, long story short, you guys got to move.
Oh.
All right. She's doing a job. She said the Secret Service agent asked if you would move because we were behind where Trump was to speak. So,
gotcha.
And he was up on a hill, and I couldn't see him from where I was, but he had just arrived onto stage. I couldn't see him from where I was, but they asked me to move.
Okay.
Because this area is secured. It's because they don't want anyone to be able to surprise from the behind Trump. So I don't know what was the difference between this team and the team watching people walk around the top of a roof.
Oh my God, that's awful. Yeah, that was an absolute. And what I'm hearing now, there was no communication with the locals that was supposed to be covering that area, and with them, they didn't have the proper briefing. They didn't have radio communication. And this kid was seen 90 minutes earlier. He has his rifle case, right, walking around. And you can see the video, and then he somehow managed to climb up. And then unbelievable events that transpired. Yeah. He should never have gotten out there.
This episode is sponsored by AR Law, PA State Rep Martina White, Biondo Creative, Morrow Flooring, and Pops McCann Whiskey.